Who's actually going to get the most out of a portable inverter generator like the FIRMAN W03383? Is it the weekend camper who wants to keep a mini fridge humming without waking the whole campsite? The RV owner who needs a clean, stable power source for sensitive electronics? Or the homeowner who only wants backup power for a few lights and a phone charger during an outage? And for the rest of us people who just need occasional juice for a power tool or a TV, does the price make sense? Or is there a cheaper, simpler solution that won't leave you shortchanged? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started looking at portable generators, the biggest fear was buying a noisy, gas-guzzling monster that would drain my tank before the night was over, or worse, damage the delicate electronics I planned to run off it. The FIRMAN W03383 promises a quiet whisper series muffler, inverter-style clean power, and remote start-all features that sound like they were built for the exact worries I had. But the real question is whether those promises translate into everyday peace of mind, or if the trade-offs hide some inconvenient surprises. Let's break it down by scenario. If you're a full-time RV dweller, the fact that this unit delivers 3,300 watts of continuous, inverter clean power is a major win. Inverter generators keep voltage stable, which means your laptop, TV, and even a small air conditioner won't see the spikes that can fry a circuit board. I've seen folks try to run a microwave off a standard generator and end up with a blown fuse. The FIRMAN's inverter design sidesteps that risk. The remote start feature is another practical perk. Imagine pulling up to your campsite after a long hike, stepping out of the car, and hitting a button on the dash to fire up the generator without having to wrestle with a pull cord. That convenience factor alone saves a few minutes of frustration every time you set up camp. For occasional campers who only need a few lights and perhaps a portable heater, the 3650-watt surge rating feels generous, but you might never tap into that extra headroom. In real-world use, the generator runs at about 30% less fuel than comparable non-inverter models, thanks to its fuel-efficient engine design. That translates to roughly 12-hour runtimes on a 4-gallon tank when you're only pulling a couple of low-draw devices. If you're the type who forgets to bring extra fuel, that extended runtime can be a lifesaver, especially on a weekend getaway where gas stations are miles away. Now, let's talk about the downside that often gets glossed over in the marketing copy. First, the unit is compact, but at about 70 pounds it's still heavy enough that you'll need a dolly, or at least a solid pair of arms to move it. It's not something you'll want to lug up a steep hill on a whim. Second, the quiet label is relative. The Whisper Series muffler does bring the decibel level down to around 60 dB at a quarter load, which is about the noise level of a normal conversation. That's a lot quieter than a typical 6,000 watt generator that can hit 75 dB, but it's still audible enough that you'll want to place it at least a few feet away from sleeping areas if you're in a tightly packed campsite. Some users expecting a near-silent operation have been surprised by that. Another practical consideration is the control panel layout. The FIRMAN bundles several start options: remote, key, and push button into a single console. While the versatility is nice, the panel can feel a bit cramped if you're trying to plug in multiple cords at once. The outlets are spaced tightly, which makes it easy to accidentally knock a cord loose when you're reaching for the other side. In my own test, I had to be deliberate about the order in which I connected the refrigerator, lights, and a phone charger to avoid that little annoyance. What about maintenance? Inverter generators usually require a bit more attention to the cooling system because they run at higher RPMs to produce clean power. The FIRMAN's owner's manual recommends checking the oil after every 20 hours of operation, which is fairly standard, but if you're only using the unit a few times a year, that schedule can feel a bit excessive. That said, the fuel-efficient engine does run cooler than a traditional generator, so you're less likely to encounter overheating on a hot summer day. If you're the type who lives in an area prone to storms and need a backup power source for essential home appliances, this generator could fill a niche, but only if you're comfortable with its power ceiling. Running a whole house is out of the question. You'll be limited to a few essential circuits: think a sump pump, a few lights, and maybe a refrigerator. For those critical moments, the clean sine wave output is a plus because it won't trip sensitive electronics, but you'll need a transfer switch or a manual inlet box to safely hook it up to your home wiring. That extra equipment,